Good morning. Today I wanted to talk about bullying. It is a problem. Um, However, I think sometimes the way people happen to resolve it make it a bigger problem. But I'm not going to get into that today. Today I just want to talk about bullying and things that I've experienced. So, um, being a principal, obviously, I dealt with bullying a lot and claims of bullying. And a lot of times it turned out to not be bullying. It was simply just kids who couldn't get along with each other, were being mean to each other back and forth, which really isn't bullying. Um, I myself experienced bullying as a eighth grader at a junior high here in Parkersburg. Before I had braces, which thank God I did. Before I had braces, I had big buck teeth, and they stuck out, and of course kids noticed that. So I got called Bucky a lot. I got asked how fast I could eat a carrot, all those things. From the time I was in eighth grade, probably seventh grade actually, up until I got my braces my senior year of high school. Um, so the school I was in eighth grade even had a Bucky club. They had membership cards and everything. The whole grade basically just made fun of my teeth, and I hated school, which I love school. Other than that year, I loved school because I didn't have a good home life. So school was the one place I could go, be happy, excel. So when I became an educator and a principal, I tried to always keep that in mind, that I don't know what kind of home lives my students have. Well, some of them I do know what kind of home lives they have. But you never know when somebody's struggling and you don't know what their home life is. So I always wanted to make sure that school was not going to add to the misery that they may have already be experiencing at home, and I wanted school to be a happy place. So even when I had to discipline students, I would share that with them, that you don't know what kind of home life this person has, so just assume that it's the worst, and school is the place they come to be happy, and don't make their time here miserable. So the bullying I wanted to talk about was actually the bullying I experienced as an adult. So when I came to the middle school where I was a principal, and some of you will know and some of you won't, and I'm not going to mention the name, I had intense bullying from the staff. So it was interesting that first year or two when people would say, oh man, I bet it's hard being a principal, those kids. And I always said, oh, kids aren't the problem. They're supposed to kind of act crazy sometimes and do dumb things. Like, that's part of being a kid. I'm like, adults is really the problem that I have. So it got to the point my first year that I actually couldn't hold a staff meeting, because if I held a school-wide staff meeting, it just added fuel to the fire. So when one person started to attack me, then it was like a ripple effect where then others would jump on it. It became like a mob mentality. And then here I am as the leader of the school, trying to not cry, trying to not show my feelings about being attacked in every way. The school I came into was a mess. There were staff telling students that they were going to end up in gangs, they were going to end up in jail, grabbing kids by their hoodies, calling them ugly, saying that our kids didn't want to learn, they didn't care about their education. It was a nightmare. Our test scores had been going down for several years. So when I came in, I kind of set a vision, and I shared with staff that it would take 3 to 5 years for that vision to come to fruition, and so I would be staying the 3 to 5 years. Many staff left, and honestly, some of them were a great loss, but many of them, it was a blessing for them to leave the school. Their behaviors were toxic to students and other staff. So I just want to share a few examples of the way I was bullied. For one, I already shared I couldn't have a full staff meeting for the first year I was there. I had to only have team meetings. I had a survey sent out, and as some of you may know, surveys can be you can kind of make the questions how you want them to be to get the results that you want to get. I feel very much that's what the survey was. It was sent out anonymously. It was sent out without my knowledge, although one of the staff did alert me to it. And that's fine. People are welcome to send out surveys. I myself had sent out a survey at a job I worked at previously, and because it was anonymous, people were nasty on there, told me to click my heels and go back to North Carolina, not realizing the pain and anguish that I had in North Carolina, which caused me to move back to West Virginia, only to be hated on by people that usually just didn't want to do their job. So the survey was sent out. People called me white trash on there. Which is, not helpful. I understand if you don't think I'm doing a great job, then you should probably put something that would help me become a better principal, but just calling me white trash doesn't help me improve my practice in any way. I also had something that I had implemented where I asked staff to recognize students who were doing a great job, and then I had a program where I asked students to recognize staff that were doing a really great job. And then once a month, I awarded a $25 Visa gift card to a random staff drawn from those staff that were awarded by students. I bought that $25 gift card out of my personal paycheck, and $25 a month might not seem like a lot, but when you're a single mom, every dollar counts. So it actually did put me in a bind sometimes, but I wanted to make sure I had it. And I would give it to teachers, and I had one teacher tell me that she didn't need it, she didn't want it. And I said, I was trying to be nice, and I said, well, maybe you can buy something for your classroom. Yeah, I don't need that. I feel like it's very degrading. And I said, you feel like it's degrading for students to recognize staff? So I said, well, maybe give it to a peer of yours. Maybe they could use the $25 Visa gift card. So just basically those kinds of things. I had people put things in my mailbox about trainings, about crucial conversations that I had actually already attended on my own time on Saturday mornings. So basically what it was is just a lot of passive-aggressive behavior. Anytime I tried to do something to better the school, like rearrange the school so that we would have a 6th grade hall, 7th grade hall, 8th grade hall, I had people call their union rep asking her to ask me to not move their rooms, even though it would benefit students. When I asked staff members to call parents, instead of sending every student to the office and make those connections with parents, I again had staff call their union rep to ask if I would make them not call parents. So what I wanted to share about that is just, it takes a real toll on somebody. And if I hadn't had such a strong personality or strong character, or hadn't had such a crappy early life, so I knew that even when staff was being that hateful to me, it still wasn't my worst day, I probably wouldn't have made it through. The great thing is I did have a good support network, and the amazing thing I want to share is that slowly the toxic staff either left the building or they could see that the changes that we were trying to implement were positive and would benefit them, and so then they got on board with us. The pinnacle was probably somebody filing an investigation against me, which turned my life upside down. Anyone who's ever worked for me can tell you that I'm direct. I try very hard to recognize people. I try very hard to even schedule myself a calendar of acknowledging people, because I'm so task oriented that it's not my second nature to just go around telling people like good job and pat on the back, but I know that's important to people. It's important to me, so I worked really hard to do that. When I needed to confront staff about an issue, I always called them in privately. I always had a witness to be there with me. Very rarely, if ever, do I remember ever calling someone out publicly or embarrassing them, although I had staff that would go on their social media pages and mock me, make fun of me. Their spouses would go on my pages and mock my military service. So, a lot of people think being a principal is hard because of the kids, and I'm going to tell you that being a principal is hard because of the adults. I do want to say I was blessed with an amazing staff where I was, and after 5 years there, it had really transformed. We were more like a family than a staff. We got right people on board. Our test scores increased for the 5 years I was there. Um, we put amazing programs into place, amazing services and resources in for students. We had sports championships. We had teams make it to the playoffs. We had an amazing turnaround. And what happened with that is that teachers and all staff started to believe that these students could learn and could be successful. And that's where the real turnaround happened. So if you're at a school and you hear adults talking about how the kids can't do this, or the kids don't care about this, or the kids, but they never say anything about all the things the staff have put into place to help students, then I would guess that the staff is not doing what they need to be doing, and they're putting all the blame on students. Now, with that being said, it was still a tough school to work in. And I was bullied by parents also. I would have parents that, have lost custody of their kids multiple times come in and tell me that I don't care about their kids when I'm trying to help them keep their children out of juvenile detention facilities. I've had workers from different agencies disregard what I share with them about students to try to help those students get the best help they need. So it's a very frustrating position when people think you have all the power because you're the principal, and all you really have the power to do is make suggestions and recommendations. I don't hire anyone. I don't fire anyone. I can't remove a child from my school without someone else's permission. I can't get a child out of placement. I can't even visit a child in the juvenile detention facility just to let them know that someone still cares about them because I'm not immediate family. So there's so many things that you can't do. And then on top of that, you're scrutinized for every decision from students to staff to parents to the community. So it's unfortunate because I do feel like I'm one of the principals that really cared, was really passionate. And honestly, I probably would have stayed longer if I would have felt supported when I needed to be supported. But I did go on and go into business for myself. So I get to work with children every day, in the private industry, and it's fulfilling. It's hard work. It's demanding sometimes, but the respect that I get from parents and staff and the community for the things that I'm doing for students and to better them, it's amazing, and it's what I kind of wanted all along. So I know I kind of went off track a little bit, and I'm a little bit like, oh, there's a squirrel. My friends will tell you that, so I get a little bit off topic. But I just want to share that bullying happens everywhere. It happens from the time you're in elementary, junior high, high school, until all the way until I will be 46 this year, and I still get bullied. It used to be more like on a weekly basis, but now I'm down to getting bullied on hardly ever. So maybe it's because I left public education, which makes me sad for my friends who are still in it, that they feel attacked all the time by the public. So maybe take away from this to be kind to each other. You don't know what people are going through just because they don't share it or can't share it. Be kind to your public educators. They probably care about all of the kids in the school more than you ever think they would. However, there are a few that don't. That doesn't negate the fact that the majority of educators I know across the country put everything into making your child a better human, a better citizen, and it's a very small minority that are the ones saying, these kids can't do this, these kids can't do that. And when you see somebody that comes up as a strong leader, especially a female, maybe don't believe everything everyone says about them. I've heard people say I'm too nice, I'm afraid to suspend, that I don't really know what I'm doing, that I'm a dictator, just hateful things that if I was a male, those things wouldn't be said. I've seen things happen quickly for males in education and positions of leadership that I have worked for years to accomplish, but couldn't get anyone to listen to or hear my voice. And the only thing I can hear from that is that it's because I'm a female. So again, it goes back to being bullied, but for your appearance, whether it's buck teeth or that I'm a female. So yeah, that's all I want to say. I hope everyone goes out and is kind to each other, has a great Saturday. And I will come back next Saturday. If there's something you would like to hear about, let me know. But that is the video for today.